Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. The projects in today's video ended up all having this vintage theme, which I personally love and I think y'all will as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't find these octagon shaped picture frames often at the thrift store, but when I do, I definitely pick them up and I was excited to be able to find two sets of these. So we're going to turn them into some amazing looking vintage prints that I always see when I go to the antique stores and the boutiques. So these are very nicely framed. I like when they have just the little screws in the back because it's so much easier to take them off. So I'm just going to unscrew these frames and take the backs off. Now you could add fabric or paper to the background, but there was already a nice thick background, so I just decided to paint it. I wanted to go for a drop cloth look, so I'm using Fusion's paint in the color Chateau. I find it is so close to the drop cloth color, and in order to give the background a little bit of texture, my first coat I'm going to do all vertical, and then on the second coat I'm going to come back and do it all horizontal, and the brush strokes, doing it this way gives it a little bit of texture that I think really adds something to the piece. Next, I want to paint the frames. I'm going to be using Fusion in the color Ash. It is a beautiful kind of off black vintage color. And I'm going to be adding some fresco. Now, I don't want to add texture to this piece, but when you add just a little bit of fresco, 2 parts paint to 1 part fresco texturing powder, it gives your Fusion paint a matte flat chalk finish because the Fusion all-in-one paint has a little bit of a satin sheen to it. So I love that I can take my favorite Fusion colors and get that flat chalky finish that I love by just adding a little bit of this fresco powder to it. Here it is all dry and you can see it has that nice flat finish and you still have the bonus of the built-in sealer that comes with your Fusion paint. So we do not have to seal this piece. I do want to distress just the edges to bring out all those details and bring out a little bit of that gold color. I think it's just going to pair so perfectly with this ash color and make this frame look so expensive in the end. I cannot wait for y'all to see the final product. These came out so good and look so expensive. Now that all the painting is done, we are ready to add some images. I'm going to be using IOD's Franz Transfer. Y'all know how I love botanicals and I cannot believe that I have not used this transfer before. I went through the book and picked out some images that I thought would go good together. And as you can see, this transfer is a little bit too big for this particular artwork. So I'm just going to cut it down. Like all of your transfers, you can cut them up and use the different parts and pieces to fit your particular project. So I'm going to transfer on all the leaves and then I'm going to add on the root. I'm trying to get it to be about the same size and shape as the botanical next to it. That way they look like a matching pair. So if you have a transfer that you really want to use, but maybe it's a little bit too big, don't be afraid to cut it up and just use pieces of it and make it work for your particular project. And look at that. You cannot even tell that I cut this up. Just a seamless transition. For the second set of art, I decided to go with 3 botanicals. So I picked this longer piece to go in the middle and then a smaller piece to go on each side of it. And all of your transfers will come with this transfer tool and you just rub it over your transfer and it'll go on to your piece. Now, when you pull it up, you want to do it slowly. That way, if any pieces of the transfer didn't transfer, you have time to put it back down. So you'll always see me kind of slowly pull it up just to make sure everything transfers. And if it didn't, then I just put it back down and then rub the transfer tool over it a little bit more. If you have never used an IOD transfer before, they are really so easy and so fun. I like to call them adult stickers. I love them, and I think once you try them one time, you will be addicted to them. And of course, you can find all the products that I'm using in today's video on my website, juliesdesignsandsigns.com. Almost forgot to show y'all this part. I love when botanical prints have a name or a number or a letter next to it. So I just went in with a pencil and wrote little letters next to each botanical. And I think that little extra detail just really made a big difference. All right, guys, y'all getting a bonus project in today's video because I had some leftover paint and we can't waste any paint. I found these oval frames in my stash, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint them and just lightly distress them and bring back some of that gold through. IOD also makes a Franz stamp. For whatever reason, I have never used this one either, so today is the day. I picked out two that would fit perfectly into the oval pieces of art. I painted the backgrounds the exact same way that I painted the other one using the Chateau Fusion paint, that perfect drop cloth color that I love. And I'm just inking it up with some IOD black ink, and then I'm just going to press it onto the background. And y'all, this looks so good. I am obsessed with the way these prints came out. I think that these look very similar, maybe even better than the ones that I have seen at antique malls and in boutiques. And y'all, I only used a few pieces of the Franz transfer and I have plenty left, and the stamps you can use over and over again. So I feel like for less than the price than it would cost you to buy one of these at the antique mall, you can make a ton of your own using IOD's products. Do y'all remember a few weeks ago when I took these curtain rings and made them into these little cute hangers? Well, I love them so much that I went through my stash and looked at what else I could possibly use as little frames, and I grabbed these two pieces. This is some kind of baking thing, so y'all know I don't know exactly what it's used for, but today it has a hole in it, so it's going to be a frame. And I want to go ahead and paint it. I'm going to be using Fusion paint in the color Paisley. Now, I've come across this problem before on these newer baking pieces. They have this non-stick coating, and so the paint doesn't stick either. So what I did was I took it outside and just sprayed it with a coat of sealer, and that fixed the issue, and the paint went on without a problem. How cute are these little vintage inspired bunny drawings? I found them on Creative Fabrica and I printed them just in different sizes because I wasn't sure exactly what size I was going to use for each frame, and I want to give them even more of a vintage age look. So I printed them on some white cardstock, and I'm just taking the bottom of my coffee that I drank this morning and a paintbrush, and I'm just going to put some coffee over the paper, and it's going to give it a beautiful age look. And of course, the darker your coffee, the darker it will come out. Now, I did kind of warp my paper a little bit, but what I did was once it was pretty much dry, I put it under a book for about 10 minutes and that flattened it out perfectly. If y'all have not heard of Creative Fabrica, I'm going to have a link in the description below where you can get a free trial, because I definitely want y'all to go check it out. You get your first 10 downloads for free, and I'm going to tell y'all a little bit more about it later in the video, but they have so much cute stuff like these little bunny images, and I've already spent hours just scrolling through the website and hearting the images that I love. That way they'll be easy to find when I have the perfect project to use them for. My paper is dry, and this is looking exactly the way that I wanted it to. It kind of has like this vintage watercolor look to it, so you could definitely do this with colors as well if you wanted to add some colors to your black and white image. And now I'm just going to figure out what images I want to use for each frame. I'm going to kind of trace it and circle it out, and then I'm just going to hot glue it to the backs of the pieces. I think some greenery would look perfect added to the little grapevine wreath. So I just kind of looked at what I had on hand, and I had this little plant from IKEA, and I just love the ivy look of it. So I'm just going to cut it out of the pot, and I'm going to hot glue it to the inside of the wreath. And I am obsessed with the way that this looks. I love it so much. Y'all, please let me know what y'all think. I also added a little jute twine hanger to the back because I think it will look not only great hanging, but also as a shelf sitter. So I just want to be able to put that jute twine in the back if I just wanted to set it on a shelf. For the baking tin, I just drilled a hole in the top and added a piece of jute twine, and I decided that the smaller bunny head would look best, so I cut it out and I hot glued it to the back of the tin. And then I felt like it needed just a little something else. So I took a little lace ribbon from my stash, made a little bow, and I'm going to hot glue it to the tin. And now it is absolutely perfect. All right, we are not done with these yet. I want to add one more project to this set. So this is just a scrap piece of 5mm underlayment. I have a bunch of these from all of the shiplap that I had been doing around my house. So I used my jigsaw just to turn it into a little tag, cut the edges off, and then I drilled a hole in the center. Now I'm going to paint it with the paisley paint color, the same color that I used on the little pie tin, because I want all of these 3 pieces to be a little bit cohesive and look like a set. So I just need to put 1 coat of paint on here. That was sufficient. And then I took some sandpaper and I just wanted to sand the edges and distress this piece a little bit. Now I want to add some words to my tag. This is another image that I downloaded from Creative Fabrica. And again, I just printed it in 2 different sizes. That way I could kind of see visually which one looked best on the tag. And then I just used a little painter's tape to keep it in place. And now I'm taking some carbon paper and I'm going to copy over all of the words and it's going to transfer it onto the tag. This is a little tool that came with the transfer paper that I purchased on Amazon, but I would actually recommend just using a pencil because then you can kind of see the places that you have already traced over. So I'm just checking. I noticed a few things weren't traced, so I'm just putting the paper back down and I'm finishing it up. Now I'm going to use a paint pen. This is my favorite paint pen. You can get it at Amazon or Walmart, and I'll have a link to everything I'm using in the description below for y'all. Y'all, it has been so long since I did this. I used to make signs like this all day, every day, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. It is so relaxing to me. While y'all relax and watch me paint, I want to tell y'all a little bit more about Creative Fabrica. It has fonts, graphics, commercial licenses, print on demand, video classes, all kinds of stuff. And you can use the link in my description to get your 10 free downloads. But guys, it is only $4.99 a month if you want to purchase the year. I just went ahead and did that because it had so much stuff that I wanted. And I figured I only needed to sell one thing to pay for the month. That's how I do the math in my head when I want to buy something for my business. Now, I printed the Hello Spring image because I like the way that looked, but if you want to create your own signs, shirts, all the things, they have tons of fonts you can download and you could get SVG files. I'm pretty sure that's what you use for Cricuts. I don't have a Cricut, so I've been using the PNGs, which you can, use for everything as well. Y'all definitely click the link and go check it out. So I got the words done, and now using my number 6 Stall Master Artist brush, I'm going to paint in the leaves. I'm using Fusion Paint in the color Eucalyptus. It is like the perfect green color. So I'm just going to quickly paint the leaves, and then I'm going to let my paint dry. Then I'm going to come with a pencil, and I'm going to use that just to draw in the little veins on the leaves, and then this tag is done. I had so much fun creating these projects and they look so good hanging together, but you could also separate them out. So definitely look through your stash, see what you have that you can use. And if you don't have anything, I had 3 extra of each and they will be available on my website. So you're going to get the tag, you're going to get the baking pen, and you're going to get the grapevine wreath. Unfortunately, I did not have any of the greenery left over. This is just an idea that I want to share with y'all that actually my neighbor Mary came up with. I love vintage shoes, and if you go to estate sales, you probably see them as well, but I never knew quite what to do with them, and I loved this idea. So she just put some moss in the shoe and a little bit of ivy, or you could use whatever greenery you have on hand, and you make some little tiny eggs using IOD clay, and I love how these look, and I think it's something you could set out not only for spring but year round. I think they're adorable. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I was lucky enough to come across this huge lot of vintage bobbins. These are different than any ones I've seen before, and y'all, they are rusty and crusty. So to me, that is just an added bonus. Now, I'm selling them in sets of 3, just as is on my website, but I wanted to show y'all some different ways to embellish it if you wanted to, because I do think they look amazing on their own. So one of the bobbins actually already had string around it, so I'm just going with that look and adding string to the top part, which is something I've never done before because usually I add it to the middle of the bobbins, but I really like the way that this looks. So I just looked through my stash and I got some white string and I got some jute twine and wrapped them around, and that is it. For this next set, I'm just going to take some lace from my stash. Some of it's vintage and some of it I just tea-dyed. So if you find some lace and it's too white and you want to give it more of a vintage look, just soak it in a little bit of coffee or a little bit of tea and it'll give you that beautiful vintage off-white color. So these, I'm just going to wrap the lace around the middle on 3 different bobbins, and then I like to tie them together. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this off-white rope that I have, and I'm going to tie these 3 together, and then this set is done. For this next set, I'm going to be using this ticking stripe fabric, but any fabric you have would look good. I was thinking drop cloth would also look really good, but I want to give it a vintage look. So I just snipped off a little bit of the end and then tore the rest of it, and I love like the frayed edge that it gives. So I'm just going to tie these again around the middle of the bobbin. I'm going to tie it around all 3, and then this set will be done. Like I said, I think these bobbins look absolutely beautiful on their own, but I think adding the string and the lace and the fabric just give it that little extra vintage detail. Alright guys, that is the end of today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all are inspired. Leave a comment below and let me know what was your favorite projects. I have a really hard time picking because I personally loved all of them. So I'm not going to pick. I'm going to let y'all pick. Y'all let me know. And don't forget that all the projects and the products used in today's video is available on my website, juliesdesignsandsigns.com. And y'all don't forget to go down in my description and click on the link to check out Creative Fabrica. I do get a small commission. However, I am sharing this with y'all because it is a website that I love and use, and I think y'all would love it as well. So I just really wanted to share it with y'all. So once again, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. I hope y'all are inspired. I did, if you noticed, take a little bit of a break from YouTube for a few weeks, but I am back. I am excited, and I will be bringing y'all videos out every week, either on Thursday or Friday, just depending on how crazy my week is. So make sure that you are not only subscribed, but you have that notification bell hit so YouTube will notify you when I upload a new video. Y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all in the next one.